Are you struggling to make your first 100K or next? Are you pretending you're successful but barely getting by? Are you tired of comparing yourself to millionaires and billionaires who make it look so easy? Welcome to First 100K, the #1 entrepreneur voice in America. I talk about the important things that no one else is talking about, like how to make your first $100,000, because I believe this is where 90% of entrepreneurs get stuck. And I tackle the mental game of entrepreneurship that we all secretly struggle with but won't admit. My guests are successful entrepreneurs who share their mistakes, their #1 fears, their daily habits, and their superpowers that push them over the 100K mark. I'm your host, your coach, your friend, Joseph Warren. I'm also a 10-time failed entrepreneur and the owner of 2 co-working spaces here in Tampa, Florida. This show was created for you, the entrepreneur who's pushing to break through the elusive 100K milestone. Wherever you are in your business, you're just 100K away. Today, my featured guest is Nadine Artemis. She is author, Aromacologist, hope I did well on that, Formulator, founder and CEO of Living Libations. You can find her at livinglibations.com. Now, Living Libations is a luxury line of organic, wild-crafted, non-GMO, immune-enhancing serums, elixirs, and essential oils for those seeking the purest of the pure botanical products on the planet. Oh my gosh. Like, they are some copy for you. Her potent dental serums are used worldwide and provide the purest oral care available. Books that she's written include Renegade Beauty and Holistic Dental Care. She's a frequent commentator on health and beauty for media outlets, and her products have received rave reviews in the New York Times, Goop, New York Magazine, Vogue, InStyle, The Hollywood Reporter, and many more. She's been described by Alanis Morissette as a true sense visionary. And Aveda founder Horst Rashabaksha, I totally chopped that up, but you know who it is. Look it up, Google. Calls Nadine a pure flower of creativity. So I'm speaking with Nadine Artemis. Welcome to your first 100K. Go ahead and share something personal about you that very few people in your business life actually know.
Well, the first thing that came to mind was there was a few years there where I was doing some very highly paid hula hooping gigs, including one for a party with the Governor General of Canada. I hula hooped for 4 hours at a huge art opening. And got some, it was really fun.
4 hours of hula hooping. That's intense.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. That's a commitment right there.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's get right into your story, because Startup Nation, the reason why I brought Nadine onto the show is I wanted to speak about resilience. And it's a topic that comes up so much. Sometimes it's a spoken topic. Other times it's unspoken, but it's in your story. Many entrepreneurs, they work so hard to build their dream, to build that business, to make it happen. And the world shows up sometimes with resistance, especially if you're pioneering something new, something different, something extraordinary. And there's this resistance that pushes back on you. It's kind of like a test to say, how much do you want this? And resilience is critical to find your way over, under, through those obstacles. And Nadine is, she has gone through some obstacles in her entrepreneurial journey. So we're going to go there. And Nadine, I want you to take us back in time. Speak to us about when you first founded this company, when you first started out, and you lost everything overnight. Tell us that story in detail, would you?
Yeah, well, actually, it was kind of mid-game, I would say. So what we built up was already pretty huge. In 2013, just as we were on the verge of, we've been planning for 2 years to build a new headquarters for ourselves because it was a home business that had grown and we had addition to the house and we were just, knew we had to take it to the next level. So, it took a long time to zone the land, architecture, we're in the forest too. So it's like putting in little roadways and a lot of planning. And we just had a few more months to go through. We had dug ground, we got the permits, and that was all going to start on Monday, August the 4th. But what happened on the night of August the 2nd was that every single, our whole home and business burned totally to the ground. We had nothing but the pajamas on our back. And that was really hard. There was many, you were speaking about overcoming resistance or obstacles. And for sure, in any journey, any life journey, but for sure, any entrepreneurial journey, you're going to have a few. But that one was really huge. You're faced with flames that are just so large, your whole everything's up. And you just think, and then when you're just with all the ashes the next day, you just really, I was like, oh my God, is that 20 years just where all that work is gone, it was just such a feeling of oh God, and where am I going to find the juice, the energy to repeat that. But luckily, you do find out too, everything's not, even though everything physical was gone, we still had the love of what we made, and every, beautiful client out there that was just also holding space for, please, make us living libations as fast as you can. It's also when you find out the not so joyful details of your insurance. It's that's when you really find out the strength of, or not strength of, your policies. But it was a real feeling of oh my God, do I have to roll up my sleeves that much again,
Yeah,
and
for
where is
sure.
it going to come from as I'm processing the grief of the kind of our nest, and my mother had died about 6 months prior, and all of her heirlooms had arrived the month before.
No way.
So and they were real treasures, from the 1800s. Or my great grandfather was an artist.
They weren't part of the fire, were they?
Oh yeah, it was.
No.
All of it. He was an artist in the 1800s, and he would go on archaeological digs with Howard Carter, and he was the illustrator. So we had these Egyptian paintings from Egypt, and just so many treasures. And my grandmother was a painter, but besides all that, just all of our stock, which was just really millions at that point, and rare and precious, not just things that you can replace, but we work with raw materials. And June is a huge buying month of some of the most rare oils, Immortelle, Rose Otto, Neroli. They all come up then. And of course, you really got to buy for the whole year because they sell out. So just liters of, things that were $20,000 a liter, just up, gone into
wow. Startup Nation, I want to turn to you for a second and just kind of whisper in your ear right now, because I think what Nadine is saying right now, you can relate to. And maybe you can't relate to the millions of dollars in stocks burnt to, just incinerated, or maybe you can't relate to the family heirlooms going up in flames, or your business being burned to the ground. But maybe there's something you've been working on so long, and all of a sudden it just comes to a stop. Or maybe there's even a relationship in your life, right, that you invested so much in. We all have those. And then all of a sudden it seems like it's burnt to the ground, and it's lost, and it's gone forever, and it's unredeemable. Maybe you're in that position right now where you feel you put everything in, and it's like you have to start over. Where do you get the juice, as Nadine says? Where do you get that juice to get back up from the ashes? You digging through the ashes and you're like, there's nothing left here. What do I build with? What do I rebuild my life with? Nadine, take us into that story of rebuilding. And Startup Nation, I want you to take notes and find those little secrets and those little wisdom nuggets in Nadine's story and incorporate it into yours. See what you can gather here. Nadine, how did you rebuild?
Well, the first thing was really, going into my mind and finding, you know, the better feeling thought sort of each step along the way. Personally, I do find a positive mindset is definitely something that I like. I definitely find it helps. And you really, you know, you lose the roof over your head, but you must find the faith that there is, like, the sky is the roof over your head. Like, just even though it's like kind of an untrusting life moment, you have to get past that fast, turn it around, and then just accept that it's somehow the path of least resistance. Somehow this is the best thing that's ever happened to us. And you just play that game till, you know, and then you find the evidence around you, and it starts making it feel real. You know, whether it's just like, well, we're alive, my little family of 3, and you just start there if that's what's making you feel good, you know. So that sort of first tending to the mind and lining up, because then when you can line up your mind and your actions, that's a lot of the work already done. Then what was also great is our team, while they were devastated, they weren't, you know, personally living through the loss. And so they were so keen and ready and able and let's go. And the community around us. So, you know, we needed shoe donations and stuff in those first few days because we literally had nothing. But then luckily, you know, a friend had a building and it had space, and, like, you know, we could at least, then we had space, we had nothing to move into, but then we could at least start ordering things. And obviously we canceled building the new building, but luckily we had all that money we'd been saving for a few years to build it. So we were able to, you know, have the flow to get the stock, get the inventory. But again, we have such a complex inventory. We have over 300 raw materials that make up about 200 products. So there's a layer of, you know, it's a beautiful thing, but when it's a lot. So anyway, somehow we told all our clients that we would be aiming to ship September 2nd, 1 month later. And so that was like we had like a normal business month. People just continued to order, which was great. So we just
if I could jump in, why did you make such a bold claim?
I don't know. We knew we could somehow, like our team didn't lose a minute of work. Like, we just worked right away. And then of course, all these distillers and the people that I work with for our raw materials, I've known them for about 20 years. So they were like doing whatever they could, you know, whether it was like, here's a nice discount, here we're FedExing it. So it was a lot of people pulling together to start our beautiful formulating again. And we did do it. We started shipping September the 2nd. We had to ship in weird orders, or like, okay, we've made, you know, these products first, but we still can't find that rare neroli blossom, so we can't make those. And then it was just, you know, and of course our clients were just whatever you need, you know, there was like no, like, oh, it's 2 weeks late. It was like nobody complained. And I feel like just we all came through it together, and now we can laugh, you know, like, and
was that surprising to you when everyone chipped in, when people around you let you lean on them, where maybe before they were leaning on you, right? You had the success, you had the millions and all that. And now you literally didn't have shoes on your feet and needed a donation of shoes to restart. What was that like for you from a humility place?
From a humility place, I was fine. But from a leadership place, like I generally feel like I've been in, like was always magnetized towards leadership roles. And I feel like there's a lot of entrepreneurship that is kind of leadership qualities. So I am, you know, I think, and then one of the things you do as an entrepreneur is you're always learning delegation. It's like kind of fresh every day, something you thought you hold on to, but you can let go. So it was a real time of like, a whole lot of my work had to be further delegated for real to just allow people to help. So that was really good. And then, it was really neat to kind of like, as the leadership, just kind of, I had to like kind of to have an armchair approach. Like I couldn't just be the leader all the time. People had to kind of, you know, really, and they were all just showing up with their own leadership and everything. So it was a really great moment of the team building and expanding their strength as well. And it was good for me to know, because I think as the leader, as an entrepreneur, it's you have a lot of solopreneur moments. I think a lot of us do. And there's just like a lot of, I'll do this myself.
Yes.
And so, you know, it was one of those moments too, where I got to just see that I can let go of that mindset too.
That's such a big mindset, and it's very prevalent in a lot of type A individuals that tend to be business owners. I like to call it affectionately, your little control freak. And I believe we all have one, and it gets in the way in business. Sometimes it really assists us, but sometimes it gets in the way. It definitely gets in the way when we bring it home into our personal relationships. But going there for a second, like, how did you let go of your little control freak when all these other individuals are trying to step into their own leadership? You couldn't have agreed with all of their decisions. It's not even possible. So how did you do that? How did you let certain decisions you disagreed with go through and you just trust the process?
Yeah, that's a good point. Because definitely that soul, I can do it myself thing can get you so far for sure. And you can feel like but definitely you need to change gears, because obviously it's not going to keep you going, or you can try, but you'll get burnt out or exhausted or whatever.
For sure.
And yes, you got to bring the people in at some point and then build a whole new way of operating. And it's interesting. I feel like that part's kind of like parenting too. You got to be grounded in your intuition. And then you got to feel it out. You often get the reward of, oh my God, they're doing this better than I ever could. And that's when you know it's really well. And if it isn't kind of getting more improved from you doing it, then, maybe you just got to feel out where to shift it and how to keep moving along,
Okay.
Yeah.
No, that's helpful. That's helpful. Thank you. Because I know we wrestle with that, right? We all wrestle with that.
Yeah.
All right. So you lost it all. Then your team pulled together, your community pulled together. They're throwing donations at you. They're stepping into leadership. Your vendors are cutting you breaks. This is really just like a massive family. It really feels like. And then you didn't just rebuild your headquarters, but your new headquarters is one of the most energy efficient buildings in North America.
Yeah.
Why did you go so big? Why didn't you just go like, well, we got the roof back on, we're good. Let's produce. Why'd you put all that energy and emphasis into making your headquarters such an amazing or extraordinary workplace?
Yes, well, I know we would have done something, very eco-oriented, because our whole business is about sustainability. But with the opportunity of the fire, we also realized, hey, that spot where we were going to build actually isn't the best spot, even though we've invested a lot into that. We have 200 acres, and the spot before the fire was this one area. And there's a road, it's kind of dirt. I won't get too into the details. But anyway, it just wasn't the right spot because a lot of reasons. So then we found, like, off the main road, and if we bought this 1 acre, we could get into a new area of our land, and then it would be off a more main road. And so it just, like, the whole thing had changed. And then we realized too that original building, which would have been about 8,000 square feet, wouldn't have been big enough. So I was also like, if I can already see that we would have outgrown that, I really need to think way into the future, so that we're doing this building and we're not redoing it in 5 years. So that's what I really was, just stretching my imagination, stretching what we needed. And I'm very glad I did that, because then what we were left with, we grew to a 22,000 square foot building. And it's so beautifully engineered and architected. It's just such a beautiful place to work at. Any visitor we have is like, I want to come and work here.
Listen, I want to come and work there, because I'm like what you did there as far as a workplace. It sounds very Google-esque.
On a micro level.
On a micro level,
yeah.
right? You got 22,000 square feet. You got this rocking company culture. You have an organic cafe. Your headquarters is in the middle of a forest. It's very fairy tale-esque.
Yes.
You have a sun deck. You got a yoga deck. I mean, why so much emphasis on the employees? Why so much emphasis on the workplace?
That's a great question. Well, as an entrepreneur, I never want to be an employee. And I have been, I've had moments in my teens and stuff. So I I don't want to be an employee. So having employees, I feel is like a little bit of a miracle, because I'm like, wow, all these people want to work here. And that's what we really started seeing, even around like years before the fire, when we were growing more and bringing more people in. It was like, Ron, my partner and I were just like, oh my God, people like working for us. And it's a small town. And I kind of think a few of these people would really probably work here till they're ready to retire. So how can we make it a better experience for them? And how can we honor that we're going to have this exchange, and with many people for many decades? So how can we really bring this into right relationship? And how can we bring, the employee-employer relationship into like 2020 and make it a win-win for everybody?
Mm. Listen, I think you're asking different questions, and because of it, you're getting better answers, right? Because your questions are very future focused. Like even the building itself, you're planning, like you plan the building according to your big dream for the future, and then kind of reverse engineered it back. It
Yes.
sounds like, right?
Yeah.
And that's, how cool is that? Yet so many of us are so scared to do that, because what if it doesn't happen? Right? How did you get past that fear?
I think knowing that there's hope is amazing, but you want to also know where you're feeling hope and where you're feeling sort of the faith of that situation. So hope is great. We look forward. It can rise us out of something, but faith acts like it already knows. And so when you're a visionary, you go into that vision and you do reverse engineer it into present time.
Startup Nation, faith acts as if it already knows. Are you lacking faith right now? That's what's missing. It could be that simple mind shift. And I believe Nadine's right. You got to get your mind aligned with your actions. You really do. You got to get in that positive mind space.
And mainly because I think it makes everything easier.
Tell us more about that.
Well, I do, easy is good. I think we often, with resistance, we create resistance and we can create struggle. But I'm always looking for, like, if I do more of the work in my brain, if I line up, even with formulating, I'm formulating like 99% in my brain before I'm getting to the table. And I feel like we can do that so much with the business. And I do feel like being an entrepreneur, leading a business, you really want to, I think you want to be in touch with, what are your actions and thoughts, and, just that continual, it's a lifelong journey of just wanting them to all line up.
So good. Nadine, I want to go back right before we wrap up here. And I want to ask you, because my listener, they've been patiently waiting. They got their pen and paper out. They're about to write down your top 3 tips and strategies that you use to get over the 100K mark, because that's where they're at. What can they do this week specifically, intentionally? Simple actions, 3 simple actions or steps. They're simple. Maybe they're big, they're scary, they're bold. What are they? What can they do? What has worked for you? What do you want to say to them?
Get clear on the vision. So I'm not saying like the whole vision of your business, but like, I'll know I'm at the 100K. Obviously you'll know from your bank account, but I'll know it because I'm going to feel X, Y, and Z. What are your other markers besides your bank account? So go into the feeling of that like it's already happened. And then you're already there, because it's like, oh, that and that happened. I'm feeling that. So that's kind of like that difference between hope and faith as well. You can also apply that there. Are you hoping you're going to get to the 100K? Are you seeing the vision, reverse engineering, and having faith in that? So when you can map that out and know it, you're also going to see, like, maybe you can then take stock of like, oh, is there doubt here? Because whenever you're having split energy of like, well, I'd like to get to 100K, but like the economy right now, like, okay, so you've just doubted that. You need to see where you're having those thoughts in like the river of your thinking all day. Are those gremlin thoughts coming up? Because that will inhibit that. So that's like reverse engineering and seeing the vision. And I'd say like step 2 is like the faith, hope thing. Are you doubting? So really seeing your thoughts. And then the 3rd step would just, I think, like taking stock on a physical level. Like literally, do you need to take stock of your marketing, your inventory? If I clear this out, is that just going to free up that energy? Do we need to like not do this, but you know what I mean? Just kind of really take stock, and maybe there's an area that needs to be cleaned up, you know? And I find like, just if you don't know totally what to do, just clean an area, take a cupboard, open it up, clean out your inbox, and just progress through that as the universe is taking care of that vision you were thinking in step one.
But sometimes, Nadine, it's scary to go into that dark place and clean it out because we don't know what's living in there or what's going to come out.
There's always gold in there, always.
There's
Even
always
when we
gold.
went through our ashes, we
Yeah.
found things that were like so special. We even found a card. It was all burnt all around, you know, those like angel decks and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it just said, "You are safe."
No.
Yes, I will send you a picture.
Oh my gosh. I think we may even title this show Finding Gold in the Ashes of Your Life.
There you go.
Listen, really good, really good. I love the energy and the feel of this conversation right now. And Startup Nation, I know you got 1, 2, maybe 3 golden nuggets out of the ashes, in your own ashes, actually, right now. And maybe it's just, if nothing more, you got a renewed sense of hope for your future, for what you can do, and to stop doubting and letting in those creepy doubt gremlins, as Nadine says, into your thought process throughout the day. But just regroup and go back to, what's that vision? What am I going for here? And really just feel those good feelings, and then have faith that it's already happened. It's already happened. This is such a mysterious thing. It's biblical. I mean, right? It's like belief in things unseen. That's what the definition of faith is. So you have to believe in that thing that's unseen because it hasn't been created in the world yet. You're creating it, Startup Nation. You have a dream. You have an idea. You have a goal. You're going to create it. It's not there yet, but you have to see it. And when you see it, you got to protect that sight, that view, right? And any creepy gremlin, negative people, negative self-talk, box them out and just stay true to that until you realize it. So Nadine, you do a much better job of speaking to this than I am right now. But thank you for just sharing with us on that. And we're about to go into my favorite part of the show, the hustle round. But before we do, I'd like to turn to Startup Nation one last time before we complete this show and say to you, listen, are there ashes in your relationships right now? I mentioned that earlier. Has one of your relationships, does it feel like it burnt down? Maybe it's a family relationship. Maybe it's your mom, your dad, his siblings, a spouse. Maybe it's your kids. Maybe you've been chasing the gold, in the business world, and you haven't been home and present. And now you got bitter teenage kids that want nothing to do with you. Listen, that's more common than you think. It really is. I get to coach a lot of people on this. They come to me with that. I'm like, what do you want? They're like, I want my relationship with my daughter back. That's it. Like, I have all the money. I want that. Otherwise, what the heck? I'm going to die with regret. We get you that. So if you're interested in family relationship coaching, and I know that's unique and different, but it's what we all need, darn it. Because it's the one thing we're going to die on our deathbed is thinking about all the relationships and how we shoulda, coulda, but didn't. So if you want to clean up those areas of your life and then attract more money because you feel whole and complete because you're loved and they're loved, it's awesome. Go to josephwarren.net, schedule a free warm-up call with me. I'm going to give you one coaching session for free. You get to sample it. See if you like it. If you like it, you can buy it. Pretty simple. josephwarren.net. All right. So Nadine, welcome to the hustle round. I'm going to ask you 10 quick fire questions. You'll have about 3 seconds to answer each. Don't overthink it. Just for fun. Are you ready?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. What's your favorite thing about being an entrepreneur?
The freedom.
The freedom. What's your least favorite thing?
There's a lot of responsibility, but I can't say it's not. I accept it though. It's a lot though. Yeah.
It is. It is. I definitely get that. What are you most afraid of?
I try not to be afraid. I don't know. I just keep taking each moment as it comes.
I don't know if I should let you off the hook on that.
I know. I mean, I could say death and stuff, but I feel like I got to deal with the specific death when it comes or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In this moment, I'm okay.
In this moment, I'm okay. Startup Nation, you see what she just did there? Like, she didn't even allow one stinking gremlin in.
Well, you know, my yoga teacher did give me the name Princess of Fearlessness. If it helps.
That's not a bad name. That's pretty good. All right. So listen, be human with us.
Yes.
We're human. We all struggle with something at any given moment of our life, whether it's personally or professionally. What are you struggling with right now, either professionally or personally?
Well, I think like all of us, we're just a little bit concerned about the pandemic right now. Which I really just think more though, it's just about, you know, leading the team through this with as, you know, little sort of mental health issues. Like, I just hope we can just keep helping each other as a community to ride through this, because we all need our little communities around us to get through this time.
I agree. No one should be doing this alone, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's get lighter. What did you spend way too much time doing in your 20s?
Oh my gosh, what did I do? I was through a lot of stuff by then.
Maybe I should rephrase it. Your teens.
I definitely had a lot of fun being very social and partying.
Got it. What secret fear do you have about people?
Projections.
Tell me more.
Well, I just feel like humanity, if we could just get our unfounded projections towards people sort of a little more in check, I think we'd all be a lot healthier. You know, when people just project something onto you and it's just really not coming from anywhere.
Yeah. Almost like false accusations. Yeah.
Yeah. Or like, you know, like we think of celebrity culture and we just put so much onto people that's just like,
and they're just human and broken like the rest of us,
like
right?
all of it. Yeah.
It's like, well, if you're the president of the United States, you should be perfect. Like, really? Because I'm still human. Got it. Okay. What do you wish you had learned sooner in business?
I think the thing where it's you take your passion and then it becomes your business, and just knowing you're going to go through a period where that passion is going to get spreadsheeted, taxed, insurance, lawyered, and you have to get through that.
That's such a cool way to put it. And it's so true. True. What is a new habit you want to create for yourself?
Just knowing I can take some time in the day to like go for a walk, have that like, oh, I can take care of myself right now. You know, I can put that down and focus.
Yeah, like take a walk in the forest, girl. You live in a fantasy forest. Jeez. What's a bad habit you want to break?
See, I don't think that way. I don't have foods that I don't want to be eating or anything. So if it's a bad habit, it just wouldn't be in my life. So I would have already broken it. Well,
excuse me. Got it.
No, I'm just saying if there's something I want to change, I better change it, because I don't want to live in the split energy of duking it out in my brain every day. Right?
I hear that. But are you that disciplined?
I don't think it takes discipline at all.
What does it take?
It just takes like feeling the truth of it, knowing you're going to feel better, like with that decision. And then you're there and you're in the new of it.
I kind of get that. It's like asking the question. I put it this way. Is it working? Is it not working?
Yeah.
It's not working. Okay. What do you want to do about it? Well, I want to change it. Yeah. Okay. What new possibility do you want to create? Yeah. Oh, I can. Well, I think I want to do this. Okay. And right there, transformation just happened.
Yeah. Because I really don't have discipline. I have to
so interesting.
Be so I have to have the inspiration or it's not happening. Have you ever done the 4 tendencies?
No.
It's this fun little online thing. There's 4 tendencies. I have the rebel in me. I don't take inner direction or outer direction, right? So we can't achieve through discipline.
Wow. That just opened up something for me. I definitely can control things in my life through discipline, but control is actually very problematic.
It is. And it's exhausting.
It is exhausting. I feel so exhausted. Okay. Pick 3 words to describe who you are now.
Gregarious, positive thinking, and happy.
Yeah, I got that. Pick 3 words to describe who you were before or your first year in your business.
maybe a little intense or worried, and fun. Oh, it was still fun.
There you go. Cool. And last question, Nadine, if you could come back to life after you died, look your family and your friends, your coworkers, your employees in the eye, and give them only one piece of advice about everything, what would you say to them?
Lean into the love.
Lean into the love. Sounds like a country song.
It does.
Lean into the love. Any final wisdom? What's the one thing you want my listener to know about making their first $100,000 this year?
You can totally do it. Do the reverse engineering. Feel the 100,000. Feel it first. Feel everything first. And feelings are really thoughts and feelings combined. And a thought is really a feeling combined. So just get that feeling of your first 100,000.
Sweet. And maybe it's more than just a pile of cash sitting on your bed, Startup Nation. Maybe it's the feeling of what you're going to do with that, who you're going to help with that, how you're going to, impact your family with that money. But get the feeling, Nadine says. Okay, Nadine, Startup Nation wants to get in touch with you. How do they do so? What do you got for them? Where do they go?
We're at livinglibations.com, and that's our whole world of creations. My books are there and anywhere books are sold, and Instagram and all the other, Facebook, blah, blah, blah. We're all there.
Blah, 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 blah.
Blah, blah, blah.
All right. Startup Nation, we'll put the links in the show notes. As always, you could go to 100k.com to get that, and make sure you're subscribed to the show. Find us on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, all the major platforms. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe. Why? Because every Friday, you're going to get new inspiration and a new sense of hope through what you're going through in your own life. I mean, look at amazing entrepreneurs like Nadine. She's coming in with all her aroma stuff and making you just feel good and hitting all your senses. This is good stuff. All right, Nadine, thank you for being on your first 100K. I wish you God's love, peace, and joy in your life. Startup Nation, you cannot show up authentically in your business without building faith in your business. If you want to have that conversation on the faith side of things, go check out my other podcast called Broken Catholic. On that show, I interview all different guests about why the world isn't working right now. Plus, I tackle unspeakable topics that you may secretly struggle with, but won't admit. We got to get your faith right to get your business right. Go to brokencatholic.com. I'm Joseph Warren, and you were made for greatness. So stop being a wuss and start being a winner. Have a blessed day, and I'll see you right back here next week.